To get ready for shock frit, you're going to want to fill up your basket with your scrap glass. You can separate your glass into colors. It can be all one color, or you can put a mixture of colors. Just know that when it comes out as shock frit, that all those colors are going to be mixed together and it'll be very hard to separate. So make sure you've only got colors in there that you want. Size-wise, you can fill up the basket to the top, but you don't want pieces that are hanging off the edge like this, because as the temperature rises, the glass will actually start to bend, and you don't want it to bend over the side of your container. Same with this piece, is too long. So we don't want those. You can always cut them up and put them back in. And then we also don't want too teeny tiny of pieces, just because we've got lots of little holes at the bottom of our baskets here, and we don't want them to all fall through and end up on the kiln shelf. You can put a little in your basket, you can put a lot, you can even fill it up a little bit more than this. I just don't want it jam-packed. If everything in there is really stuffed and packed and it's super, super heavy, it's going to take longer for the heat to penetrate the very inside, especially if it's in opal glass or translucent glass. It'll have a hard time getting there, and not all your frit will be evenly shocked. So it's better to have a little bit looser of a basket. All right. So once your instructor has pulled out your shock frit from the kiln, we'll bring it out in a towel, which you need to bring towels that are specifically for shock frit, that aren't going to be used for anything else. And we'll place it in your towel, and you can see they're still kind of big chunks, but they're shattered, and they'll actually just break apart really easily. And you can sit there and break them up with your hands if you like, or you can wrap it up this way and that way. Make sure the little bits aren't going to escape, and start stomping. If you want to do it to a tune that you really like, you can start dancing a little bit. Check it out. See if it's sufficiently crushed to your liking. Oh, looks good. So I've got some larger chunks in there, which I can keep large, or I can try and break them up more. But we're going to use our frit sifters to sift these all out into their different sizes. I'll show you that next. Alright, so you have all this frit of different sizes, and you can keep it all in one bag if you like, but if you want to sift it out to the different sizes that you want to use, we have these frit sifters available. Alright, and the best way to do this is a little bit at a time. These sifters are made of metal, and they've got little screens in them that get smaller and smaller. See the frit jump? This frit still has some kick in it. It's jumping around a little bit. Don't worry. Alright, but I'm going to put some of my frit in here. And I don't want to fill this up all the way to the top, otherwise it's going to be too heavy and it won't allow the glass to fall through the holes. And so what I like to do is kind of get my fingers in between all of these little guys, so they're a little bit separated apart and have room to move. And then I'll just start shaking. Alright, and so you can see it started to sift out into its different sizes. So this main one's going to be your chunky frit. Alright, and it's going to sift out into the coarse frit is in there. And then beneath that will be your medium frit, and then you'll have your fine frit. In this little container at the bottom, it'll catch some powdered frit, but because it's going through so much and we're handling this ourselves, there's actually a lot of little particles of dirt and dust in there with the powdered frit. So use at your own risk. You can keep it and use it, but there might be some weird little metal shards in there that might discolor your frit. So I don't necessarily recommend using it for something you want a specific color for. All right, so then I can put these in my different containers and label them and go through the rest of my frit, and then we'll have lots of frit to use. In case you're not using, you don't want to do shop frit, but you need some frit right now, and you've got some glass that you like the color of it, and you want it to be frit. We've got our handy dandy frit piston over here, which I have you guys set it up over here because we've got this rubber mat that will cushion as we're banging our tool, because we don't want to use that on the table and put a hole through it. So I'm going to take my frit piston and place my little bits of glass in there. I don't want to fill this up all the way to the top. It's not going to work. So just a couple pieces at a time. They don't have to be perfectly cut. Just break them off. And then I use this guy. It's a very, very expensive tool. You can make one of your own if you like. Oh yeah, safety. I'm wearing my mask always already, right? But especially right now, I'm not wearing goggles.
You want to start over?
Let's start. So I'm just gonna keep going.
Okay.
So you want to wear your mask, safety goggles, of course your gloves because you're using one of the tools that we're all using, and just crush it till you're satisfied. And then I can dump back the pieces that I think need a bit more crushing. That's how you can make frit on your own. And then it's always a good idea once you're done to open this up. It opens up at the bottom. And wipe that out with a damp sponge just to get rid of any of the little glass dust you have in there, so the next person won't be sad. Thank you. Let me get a little piece of paper to dump that out on. Or a little container. So, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Oh, I'm recording.
You're recording all that? Okay, so